Welcome back to the Chicago Tomahawk. I'm Mike, and I got my line mate Matt with me. And today we're going to go over the Blackhawks' last two games. They dropped both of them. And we're going to go over some NHL news. But first, Matt, Hawks dropped two this week. They play Tampa and the Predators. The Tampa game was closer than this Predators game was, I think. But I think the Predators also kind of bored them to death because they're such a brutal team to watch. They had a guy that was actually asleep at the game today. He was literally had his head on his girlfriend or his wife or what have you, and the dude was sleeping. You know, that's kind of goes to show you what it's like at a Nashville Predators game. But we'll talk about the Tampa game first. Matt, Kucherov came into town. Brandon Hagel came into town, and the Hawks dropped that one. I think that they skated with them pretty well. They kept it pretty close up until the end when Hagel buried that empty netter. But this is kind of what we're expecting. They're competitive. Is there anything from this game, any players that kind of stood out in this game to you?
You know what? It was mostly from the other side for me. I thought that Tampa did a great job shutting Bedard down. I mean, they learned their lesson from the first game. Connor, I think, had 4 points against them, and man, they were all over him the second appearance, which was the second to last game from today. But
right,
they were all over him, and I think Coach Cooper over there, one of the best still. He had a game plan for him, and honestly, if you're any coach in the league and you're playing the Hawks, Connor Bedard is the threat. You know, he's the guy you got to cover, and man, he did a great job just absolutely taking everything away from him. And it was one of the first games I've seen Connor look like a non-factor. Like, he didn't look as Bedardish as all the other games. Every time he touches the puck, he was a threat. But yeah, the goaltending I know for Tampa is not going to be the same, but they're still finding ways to win. They ended up beating Edmonton today, so they're resurging right now, and it's scary to think and their starting goalie, one of the best goalies in the league, isn't here yet. So keep an eye on this team, man. I think they could make some noise in the playoffs if they make it.
Yeah, I noticed Hedman, man. He was, playing up in the play later on in the game. He looked really good.
Yeah, you're right. He
Bedard,
had that goal.
They had they showed that they had two guys. If Bedard was on the right side, they had two guys on him wherever he went, and that was pretty much their game plan, and it worked.
Oh yeah,
I was really surprised that that the Hawks bench didn't pick up on that and find a way for some outlet passes up the middle or something. Because if there's two guys on Bedard, that means that there's less for the rest of the other four guys.
Yeah, well, that's just a gamble Cooper wanted to take. He's like, well, go ahead. We'll leave these guys open. They're not Connor Bedard. So he took his chances, and I feel like Tampa was just all over the Hawks. And I thought I think Mrazek was in net. He was solid, man.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to be, I think there's going to be a lot of guys watching him at the deadline. If he can keep this play up, you're going to need a good goalie with experience. Like I always say this, Toronto, keep a close eye on this guy. He might be a piece you might need in the playoffs.
Well, Blackhawks have, I think, 13 draft picks within the next two drafts alone.
They could get more too. I think Tyler Johnson's been very good. I think he scored a goal today.
Yeah, he did.
He's been good, and you know what? He's got like a chip on his shoulder. I don't know if he's got this attitude like he's the small guy getting pushed around, and I think he even said that about Bedard. He's like, yeah, we're smaller and people think they can push us around, and you got to have that FU mentality is what he said. And he's playing.
I like him.
He's playing really gritty. I like it. And I think he's going to draw some interest. I think the cap hit kind of sucks. I think he's making $6 million, but you know what? He's a Stanley Cup champion. He knows how to win. He looks like a good leader out there, and he makes plays. He makes something happen mostly every shift, so maybe he can draw in a couple draft picks for us too at the deadline.
Alex Vlasic has looked good, man. He had a breakaway today, and his skating has gotten much better. Last year, I thought that he was skated well, but it seems like his skating has gotten even better this year. Somebody to look out for. I like him.
Yeah, Vlasic, and I like what Korch is doing back there. He's young.
Yeah. I was going to get into him in a minute.
Yeah, let him make as many mistakes as he wants. He's just going to get experience this year and get him a full season. I think right now the only thing I don't like is the I think Connor needs to be surrounded with the line mates that are going to make him succeed. And I think you should try putting Corey Perry and him together, and maybe I think Taylor Hall's back now, and he needs to play with elite players. And I think he got an assist today. Yeah, whoop-de-doo, but he's got the shoot-first mentality, which is something the Blackhawks haven't had in a very, very long time. Probably since Jeremy Roenick, a guy who wants to shoot the puck and score a lot of goals. So this guy needs to shoot the puck, and he needs playmakers to get him the puck. And I think he's just they're asking him to do too much. You know, this guy's skating the puck in. He's kind of working the power play and making good passes to guys, and they're kind of looking for him to take the shot. He's been covered a lot. I think they're asking too much. They need to get him some skill. I'm hoping the Hawks can just do a better job and, you know, give him a better supporting cast.
I've mentioned this before, but I think that they need to take Seth Jones off of that number one power play unit and move him on to number two and put Korchinski on that number one power play unit and let him move the puck around, because him and Bedard, they have some pretty good chemistry together. And I like the way Korchinski plays. You know, he plays with his head up. He's been, man, I'll tell you what, they let him know that, hey, we're going to keep you up, find an apartment, you know? Yeah. And that's probably like a big weight off of his back for him to knowing that he's not going to be sent down during allow him make his mistakes. And he's playing very well. He's skating well. He's shooting when lanes are open. And actually, from his shot the other day was how I think it was that first game with Tampa. That's how. Oh, gosh dang it, man. What's his name? Lucas Reichel got his first goal of the season.
Yeah, that shot pass. Yeah.
And
he's been playing good too. I'm happy with Reichel. I think he also needs to be surrounded with better line mates, because you're asking these younger guys to do a little too much, I think. And I'm kind of surprised Richardson hasn't shuffled him around a little bit and try to go a little top heavy at times, but he just doesn't. But nothing against the coach. I think Richardson's a great coach. He's a perfect coach for these young guys, but I think there's going to be times where, like, you don't want to piss your star off. You want to get him going. When he was getting 2 goals a game, 2 assists, he looked good, man. Like he did. This kid's going to get 40 goals this year, and I still think he's on pace for 40. I don't know if he's going to get there. I'm hoping 30. I think I'm going to stick with 30. And maybe
I said 35.
30 and 40 assists, 70 points. I would love to see him get a point a game guy, but I just think the schedule and the line mates are going to start hurting him a little bit. Kurashev is not the guy to be playing with. I for some reason Richardson loves him with Bedard, but I don't know, man. I think you got to go top heavy, and you got to get this kid. You got to get this kid going.
The reason that they've got him playing with Bedard is because they're hoping that he can draw some interest at the deadline and they can finally drop him. Get something for him.
I find it hilarious that, this kid went to arbitration. Khrushchev, like, what are you fighting for here? You're nothing special, but he was awarded what he wanted, and it's just like, wow. He must have knew somebody in that office or something, but geez.
Yeah, I think that they're looking to move him. It's because he's so streaky or he shows these flashes of brilliance, and it just doesn't pan out, man. It doesn't come in and night out. It just pops up here and it pops up there. Even with him playing with Bedard, he's got speed, but sometimes he doesn't know what to do with it. I would like to see them move on from him. I think that it's time to move on from Connor Murphy as well. A lot of people like him, man. A lot of people like him, but I see him get burned.
I don't know why they like him, dude. I don't know why. Like Mick Kern says on XM radio, being a good locker room guy is not a stat. You're in the NHL. You should be a good locker room guy as soon as you get into the league. That's what Mick Kern says, and I 100% agree with that line. And
Well, they said on ESPN the other day, they said, "Oh, the ever steady Connor Murphy."
Why are you powdering this guy's ass? Like,
I was like, hold on a second here.
I feel like he watches the opposing, the wing, the offense. Like, he'll watch, and after the fact, he'll throw a body on a guy. Like, oh, there's Connor Murphy with another hit. I'm like, sure, he's too late. He hit the guy after the dude shot. Like, prevent scoring chances. That's the defense's job. Break out the puck. Help your goalie. Don't watch. Like, I feel like our guys are always in the slot, watching guys take shots from the outside. Tampa had like 4 shots. Mrazek was on fire. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, what are we doing here? We need to be aggressive on the shooters here. Our wingers need to drop back and, help these guys out too. Leave the defense open. I'll take a shot from the point all day, opposed to shots in the slot. Right. Even your percentages are better as a goalie. You're going to stop those pucks even more than high danger scoring chances. But geez, we gotta tighten up on defense. There's so many breakdowns, and it starts with our veteran defensemen. Like, what are you doing? Seth Jones, Connor Murphy, like, you guys have been in the league for a while. You should know. Like, sometimes they look like rookies out there. Rookie defensemen.
Yeah, I think that they're trying to find their identity out there. I noticed today that Jones was skating with the puck a lot more, which...
That's his game. Yeah.
He needs to do it. That's his game. That's what he needs to do. He tried to do a spinorama and gave it up, and then that's how they scored on the empty netter. But it's. I understand you're trying to. I mean, I'm gonna tip my hat to him. He was trying to make it over the blue line because they needed to. There's like 20 seconds left, and he was doing everything he could.
You know what?
I'm really sick of this. Jones gets the puck. He starts skating it up. He gets past the red line, and then passes it back. Yeah, it's like, just make entry, dude. Just make entry.
Do you know what you got to do on the? Yeah, that's what the Hawks messed up against Tampa when they had the goalie pull. They were trying to have Bedard skate through 4 guys at the blue line, literally on the blue line. When you see that, the first thing you have to do is get that puck deep, and you got to put a body on that defenseman. You got to chip and chase. That's the only way in. You are not going to get through 4 guys. That's just great coaching by Coop. Hold the lead, hold the line, make them dump the puck in. And, I mean, if you skate into 4 guys, you're going to turn the puck over and you get an easy open netter. And it's just something that, it's like these new school guys feel like they can skate, they can create a lane. You're not going to create a lane. There's too many bodies out there. You have to get it deep, throw a body on there, hope they can't, like a big Nick Foligno, like a puck hound like that. Get on them, prevent
Who's
them,
been playing good,
make them move the puck fast, or make them ice the puck and get a face off. But it's just something the Hawks, they did not do against Tampa, and Hagel ended up going back and scored the open netter because they tried to skate through too many guys. But you got to get back to the basics and just, hey, we're not going to get an entry like that. We're not skilled enough for that. We got to chip and chase here, throw bodies on guys, wear them down, and then try to create offense through bad turnovers by the other team.
Before we get into the Predators games, I want to let everybody know that there's so much to be thankful for. Family, friends, food, and NFL football all week long. DraftKings Sportsbook is keeping your Thanksgiving week full of action. New customers can bet just $5 on the NFL action to score $150 instantly in bonus bets. No matter your appetite, there's something for you. Money lines, parlays, props, live bets, and so much more. You name it, they've got it. All you got to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code ShyTomahawk. New customers can bet $5 on the NFL Thanksgiving action to score $150 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting app, partner of the NFL with code ShyTomahawk. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. And in West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. Please play responsibly. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, must be 21 or older in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com Sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Terms and at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms. Now, Matt, the Predators. What a boring team. It was a boring game. It wasn't pretty. I don't know what direction the Predators are going in an organization. Like, are they kind of just existing to
the
kind of be there?
Yep.
Just to be there in like that bottom sort of central division, and then every so often, they have a season where they come up and they're at the top, but they really don't do much in the playoffs. What's going on with this squad?
Well, Barry Trotz took over as the GM, which I've always been a fan of him. He's a very likable coach. Now he's the GM, but he was Nashville's first coach. I think he was there for 15 years, 12 years or something. And then he went to Washington, and I think he won the cup. Him and Ovi won the cup that year, and then they got rid of him. I believe he went to the Islanders, and then he didn't have a job. And so then he got this gig because David Poley, the former Nashville GM, retired, and Barry Trotz very familiar. But the thing is, they've always been, defensive first and not really flashy with the offense. And they got some good players. They got that Flip Forsberg. He could put the puck in the net, and they've had really good goalies over the years. I think Saros is having a very bad year, not like him. Roman Yossi's a very good defenseman, but I just think they're like bottom central now. I mean, I think other teams are getting better. Dallas and Colorado are obviously the powerhouses now. St. Louis, you never know. Sometimes they get hot. Sometimes they're really bad. And the Hawks were going to be at the bottom for a while. And Phoenix is kind of on the rise a little bit. But Nashville, they're like, I'd say the middle, but dropping slowly to the bottom, I think. I think they need to figure it out and get rid of that defensive play, boring hockey, and, kind of join the times, I guess, the run and gun, because It's very boring, like you said. It's even when I go to games and we're playing Nashville, I would try to see if I can sell those tickets, or, hey, you want to go? I'm busy. I don't want to. I'd rather go home and watch paint dry than watch the Hawks play Nashville right now, because it's super boring, and there's really no stars over there to zero in on. I mean, I guess you could say the early 2000s, they were kind of cool to watch. Remember Stevie Sullivan would play on that team, and they had Thomas Vokoun, and they were kind of building a good thing. That was a little bit better, but no, man, it's bad. It's just very boring, and they like to say the Hawks are their biggest rival, and it's who the frick are you guys? You guys haven't done anything to call us a rival. You haven't done anything. So just a very boring, I guess you could call them the mushy middle. They don't really have a direction. They're just, like you said, they're kind of existing right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Kevin Lankinen was in goal for the Predators. He played pretty well. Kevin Lankinen, man, see, the thing with him is that he can come out and do a really good performance, and maybe have say 3 or 4 in a row, and then he'll come up and let 5 in. Yeah, I don't know if it's just for playing with the Blackhawks.
It was the Hawks. I think he was a good goalie. Yeah. I still think he's a good goalie. I thought he was too. He was the bright spot of those bad Colleton years, and poor guy would have a good game and he'd give up 5 goals, and it's geez, you're playing against Tampa, getting lit up 5-0, 5-0, 5-0. But man, he had 40 saves. But I think it was just a bad defense and older team we had, and a horrible coach. And I think he made the right move, going to Nashville. They really develop and make goalies pretty solid over there. It's probably a good move by him, and I think he's Finnish, so they got that little connection going on with, I believe, Pekka Rinne, and a lot of goalies from Finland came from Nashville. And Saros might be another one, but yeah, I think he's a good goalie, and he'd probably be a starter here now. But
in Chicago,
I think so. I think if he put in his time, but it's just like, hey, when you get lit up like that, you don't want to stay and just totally ruin your career. You want to try to better yourself and get paid. You don't want to sit here and rot away.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I wish him the best. I hope that he gets paid, and but he was playing very well today. Roman Josi, man, he's a good player. He didn't seem very noticeable to me today, though.
Yeah,
but it is what it is.
Yeah, I did not see the game today. I had to work, but I did see highlights.
Brutal.
Yeah, I know it's the end of the year for me. It's crunch time, so I barely got time for anything. But if I'm going to miss Nashville on a Saturday, I'm fine with that because it's Nashville. It's Winnipeg South, what we call it. It's another boring team. But at least Winnipeg, Kyle Connor, he's exciting to watch. Connor Hellebuck in net. Good goalie. But Nashville, nobody.
Too much work makes Matt a dull boy.
Yeah, makes me a Nashville Predator.
Well, hey, man, let's get on some NHL news, man. Edmonton fired their goalie. Now, I think that this is a bit of a, I don't want to say a wrong move, but this doesn't fix what's wrong with Edmonton. What's wrong with Edmonton is their roster, not necessarily their coaching.
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny. The head coach gets fired, and then they win the next two games, and I mean, it's the same system, same players, and the coach was probably like, "You got to be kidding me, boys. I mean, I've been trying to get this out of you all season, and now you start playing." And unfortunately, that's what it takes because you're not going to fire a player. It's usually the coach that goes first, and then the management, and the players are pretty protected now. So I think Jack Campbell was kind of a victim of that too. I mean, he wasn't playing good to begin with, but they sent a message by sending him down. That's got to sting, your ego and your confidence. That sucks. But yeah, the bottom line is you can't rely on McDavid and Draisaitl all the time. And they're slow right now. They're having a slow start, and it's up to the other, teammates to step up and kind of like, hey, we got you until you get your game back. We got you, but nobody is, and I think they got the same record as the Blackhawks right now. I think they're 5-10, and they dropped to Tampa Bay tonight. Kucherov with another 3 points. This guy's on fire. But yeah, man, I think it had to be done. You got to try, shake things up. There's no excuse why this team shouldn't be at the top of the Pacific. With Vegas and LA and Vancouver, they should be there with the two best players in the world, and they're not. So they had to do something, and if this keeps happening, you're probably going to see some guys start moving, which is not a good sign for your star players because you're starting to lose your supporting cast because they're not going to move those two. So you're going to start losing some other guys like Nuge Hopkins and maybe as Zach Hyman. Darnell Nurse is making $9 million, 9.5, I think, actually, and he's just not that good as a defenseman, and they got to figure it out, man.
He gets a lot of hate.
All those defensemen do that year. The year of the defenseman, Seth Jones got his big deal, and then Darnell Nurse got his, and then Cale Makar signs cheaper, and this guy's light years better than both of them. It's just crazy, that money that was thrown around that summer.
Yes, and it's funny because all of them were defensemen.
Yeah, that was the summer of the defense. Yep, for sure.
So, what do you think about Milan Lucic? Got into a little bit of trouble this past weekend. They say that it was what was it?
Domestic?
What they call the domestic disturbance.
Yeah.
Got his mugshot taken. Holy shit! Have you ever seen his nose?
It's pretty crooked. Yeah.
It's is,
Owen
man.
Wilson,
Holy
like,
smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but,
he got
but he's tough, dude.
He's in some trouble.
He should have signed with us. It wouldn't have happened. He could be protecting Connor out there, but he wanted to go back home with Boston, and the virtue signalers like, oh, Chicago's so bad. And look at now they got one of these guys. I wonder how they're gonna handle it, because Boston's another town that thinks they're the center of the sports world and we're better than everybody type of thing. So I wonder how they handle this. I wonder if they're gonna give this guy a pass or
Well, I'll tell you what, dude. Boston has won some championships.
Sure.
So if there is a town, I think that can do that. I would say it's Boston, but
Still dicks.
New York does it even more.
Yeah, they suck. I'm just not East Coast guy, and I never will be. I just think the arrogance.
Yeah.
They think like once you hit like Lake Michigan, there's no country. It's just the East Coast. Like, oh, we're the best. Okay, that's fine. You could think that.
So it looks like Boston has, he's kind of separated for the team
Long
for
term,
now, and
yeah.
so until that
long-term.
gets worked out, that's kind of brutal.
Yeah, it
But
sucks.
hey,
At least it's
it
not a
needs to be
star.
investigated.
You know,
It needs to be investigated, and
Yeah.
make sure that everything's kosher before he comes back. It's just pretty unfortunate.
it's not going to hurt them.
So-
Though. I still think they're the best team in probably the NHL right now. They're just the most complete
Yeah.
team. It is a distraction, but I think Boston, as much as I hate like the East Coast and all those teams, but they are a very structured team. They got two very good goalies, good defense, good coaching staff, and they lost Brad Marchand, or I'm sorry, Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci, and they're still good. And I think they're at the top of their division right now. And then you got the Rangers; they're in the top of their division. It could be like a Boston Ranger Eastern Conference Final the way it's going. Both of the teams are playing very well.
Dude, these two teams got to make it out of the first round first.
That's true. They got to make some noise. But they're, as far as season play, they're very, very good.
Moving on to William Nylander, has a memorable trip to Sweden, 3-point night by the forward against the Red Wings, and Alex DeBrincat wearing number 93 for the Red Wings. He's having a pretty good year. Hats off to him. I didn't want him to go to the Red Wings, but I know that he's from Michigan, and I'm happy for him, man.
Yeah, I like the cat. I like him. Yeah.
I don't want to see Kane go there, because there was rumors about the Kane going to the Red Wings, Toronto. I don't know how the hell that's going to happen.
Dallas.
And
I still think
Dallas.
And there's some experts.
The Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah, Sabres, you're right. But there's some experts thinking Carolina is in the mix too, to get that game breaker in the playoffs that they desperately need. And I found that interesting.
Do.
I found that very interesting. But for some reason, I just feel like he's going to go to Dallas. I don't know.
Do you think that Carolina could be in the sweepstakes for Nylander?
For Nylander or Kane?
I was thinking for Nylander or Kane. Because
I'll tell you
like
what.
you said, they need a game breaker bad. And I know that Nylander is looking to get paid, and he's looking to make Mitch Marner money, and they can't afford that.
Dude, I don't know what the Leafs are going to do. This guy, like, all like the reports I'm seeing, he's like a rock star in Sweden, man. They love him. Like, he's like the man over there with this.
Wow.
Did you hear he bought like 200 tickets for his family for these games?
No.
And they said, like, you can't really do that. Like, you get like a certain amount per family, I guess. I don't really know too much about it, but when you're like the opposing team, you have to buy your seats and stuff. I don't know how it works in Sweden, but dude, this guy spent a lot of cash probably to get his family and friends there. But man, going back though to Toronto, man, I don't know. They got to make a decision. This guy, he's a superstar, dude. He's a point a game guy and a playoff performer. Sure, they call him lazy at times, but I mean, you're under the microscope in Toronto. I mean, if your skate lace is like yellow or whatever, they're gonna call it out. That's how crazy they are. But
right.
Yeah, I think Carolina would be a good place for him. And I think they have cap space, and I mean they're going to probably have to move somebody on the current team. But if you're bringing in that guy, man, that would be dangerous. Him with Sebastian Aho and maybe Teuvo Teravainen, they kind of got that same style of European type of guy, the skill, good passing. I think he'd fit right in. And even if you brought Kaner in there too, it's a playoff guy. Kaner is a playoff guy. Showtime. Rod Brindamore needs a guy like that. A guy in a good locker room guy like we just talked about, but Kaner backs it up.
They need somebody to break through games for them, man. Because it's the same thing. They need a goal, in the playoffs, and they can't get one from anybody.
Well, I think their problem is the goaltending. They're always hurt,
Yeah.
and they're throwing a young kid in there. Yeah, he does good, but I mean, against an elite team like in the second round, you got to think they're going to get to the second round. They're just that good of a team. You're playing an even better team in the second round, and usually they just get their asses handed to them because Anderson's hurt or Ranta's hurt. Ranta pulled his groin again. You know, I mean, these guys get hurt too much. That's why I was hoping, like, hey, Connor Hellebuck was available, and he ended up signing 7 years or something with the Jets. But now the goalie that's out there is John Gibson from the Ducks. He's another good goalie. That's something that Carolina should consider. Even Peter Mrazek, I think me and you talked about this. He's got some history there, and he played very well there, and I think Rod Brindamore really likes him. That's another guy you kind of keep your eye on. I mean, I think that's Carolina's problem. And, Max Pacioretty's on the team. He gets hurt too much. He ain't going to be a game breaker in the playoffs because he's going to be hurt. So you might want to consider going for a guy like Kane and keeping your eye out for another goalie, because you got to think Anderson's going to go down sooner or later.
Yeah, it's got to. So Nikita Kucherov is sitting atop of points right now, 27 points. Man, this guy's really lighting it up. JT Miller is number 2 with 27 points. Elias Peterson, 27. Quinn Hughes, 27. Man, what a year Quinn Hughes is having so far, man.
What a year the Vancouver Canucks. You got 2, 3, and 4. And one's a defenseman sitting at the top of the league in points.
He's a freaking stud, man.
What a turnaround for that squad. They fired Bruce Boudreau last year, and they figured it out, man.
Yeah, they fired Boudreau. They moved their captain, Bo Horvat.
Yep.
And they're looking pretty this year so far.
What's up with JT Miller, man? Like every year we hear he's going to get moved at the deadline. This guy's number 2 in points right now, tied for 1 actually. I'm sorry, we got 4, 1 through 4.
It's a four-way tie. It's a four-way tie between Quinn Hughes, Elias Peterson, JT Miller, and Nikita Kucherov. Nylander's right there with 25 points at number 5. That we were just talking about him. Crazy, man.
Look at the goals, man.
Yeah,
5-way tie goals.
Kucherov with 13. Kucherov, Sam Reinhart, didn't see that coming. Brock Bosser, Kyle Connor, and Austin Matthews, man.
Matthews started off really hot. Really hot, and it's kind of slowing down a bit, but I think he'll get it going. I think he's going to be the one on top with goals. He's just too dang good, and he shoots too much. But Cooch, man, Cooch is scary. But Elias Pettersson, dude, he's Vancouver's, like, man, his kid's a stud. And he's got some good line mates. Look, he's got I'm guarantee he's playing JT Miller, Quinn Hughes on the power play on the back end. This guy's going to win the Norris if he keeps going. This is insane. But man, how about Vancouver?
To lose as of right now.
I can't believe Vancouver, that turnaround they had. They're right up there with Vegas, and it's probably going to be Vegas, Vancouver, and I'm thinking LA is going to be the 1, 2, 3 for the Pacific, and then you got to think, hey, Dallas, Colorado, maybe Winnipeg or Minnesota for the Central, and maybe we'll get a wild card sneak in from somebody, but I think it's Vancouver. It's going to be the Vancouver and Vegas show, though, out west, way out west.
Yeah. I wanted to honorable mention Connor Bedard with 9 goals. Man, he's out there with the big boys, man, doing his thing
by himself. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, look at the top guys in points. Their partners are up there with them. Willie Nylander at 25 points, and look at his buddy Austin Matthews got 13. A lot of these points are coming from the power play, dude. These guys they capitalize on the power play, and I feel like there's been a lot of penalties this year. I don't know about you, but they're calling everything. Like some calls are incredibly weak, but you notice these teams, they take advantage. Like the percentages now are like 27% the best teams on the power play. That's insane, dude. That's like unheard of. And like, I think Bruce Boudreau was talking on the radio the other day about his team. He had the best power play when in 2010, I believe, the year the Hawks won. He was Vancouver's coach. That's when he had, Ovechkin prime. He had freaking Backstrom. He had Semin. He had Mike Green, a power play guy on the back end. And they were at 26%. And the next guy close to them was, I believe he said it was 17%, but now a lot of these guys are at 27%, like, and there's like 10 teams. So been a lot of penalties and a lot of teams really, really practicing their power play, and they're capitalizing. So it's a big part of, like, if you look at these guys' stats, a lot of their points are power play points.
Crazy, man. Crazy. The Rangers are 11-2. Last season, the expectations were super high and they got bounced in the first round. This season feels a little bit different with Laviolette as the coach. I think that the message is clear in the locker room. Like, hey, we need to stop drinking our Kool-Aid and we need to get to work. And I think that's what they're doing. This is a team, man, that they need playoff success. You know, sitting on top of their division, yeah, sure, that's nice, but they need to get to the second round or even the third round, man, because
they got to win.
They're drinking.
Yeah, they got to win.
They got to win, man.
Their window's closed.
They've been paying Panarin a lot of money. He needs to step up in the playoffs, and you know what? Hopefully that not hopefully, but it's looking like they're riding the ship. Maybe shaving his head has helped, and this team is turning it around, man. The East is deep. It just seems that some of these teams, they just fall off the end when it comes playoff time.
Yeah, man. I mean, look at the teams. You like we talked about Boston, Toronto. You got Tampa. You got the Rangers, Carolina. Man, there are so many good teams here that are like they think they're contenders. You know,
all of those teams that you just mentioned were bounced in the second round or sooner.
Yeah, except Tampa. But
yeah,
Tampa, I still think like they're just so dangerous still. And people are like writing them off. And like, look at Cooch, he's getting hot. And Stamkos is kind of quiet, but he's been healthy. And I'm telling you, once they get Vasi back in net, they're still scary to me. And Florida Panthers, another team that, you know, they're pretty good. They made it to the final last year. I don't think they're going to do that again, but they're still a solid team.
You don't think they're going to surprise anybody?
No, I don't think that's going to happen again. I think that was just kind of a fantasy run by Bobrovsky, and I just don't see that happening again. But yeah, but as for the Rangers, dude, this has got to be it. They brought in Jonathan Quick as a good backup for Shesterkin. I thought that was really smart. This guy knows how to win, Stanley Cups. He's got 2 at LA. Right. And actually, I'm sorry, he's got 3. He was with Vegas last year as a backup. I don't think he got much playing time, but his name is still on that cup. So
still got another ring.
He's a that
comes apart.
Very good goalie. And I think you got to get him some quality starts here and keep Shesterkin, under. I think he played. Man, I think he won 60 games. Did he play? You got to try to get that to 50. He's got to have. Yeah. He needs 45. More rest for the playoffs. He needs more rest. He's not Marty Brodeur, where that guy could play 75 freaking games and win 40. It's just insane. Yeah. But I think that's the problem. He runs out of gas, and the offense kind of slows down him. And Lafreniere has been good. He's kind of found his game. Capo Caco still trying to find it, and it takes a while sometimes for some guys, and hopefully he does. But Zibanejad and the bread man shaving his head, maybe that was a good thing. He's a KGB agent now. He's all serious, but he could still play. He's a gamer, but he's got to do it in the playoffs, and that's something he hasn't done.
Well, everybody, me and Matt would like to wish you guys a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for listening to us, all of our listeners. We're very, very appreciative. We love doing the podcast and hearing from you guys. So if you want, hit us up on Twitter. We'd love to talk to you, and have a great holiday weekend. This is the Tomahawk, and we're out of here.